Hi everybody, thanks for tuning in. This little video here will help you understand, I hope, the whole process of unit conversions. We've talked about this a little bit in class, but here's another video to help you get those ideas a little bit more solid under your belt. Okay, so first off, unit conversions, sometimes, if you see this in your science classes, just a little parenthetical idea here, that sometimes unit conversions is called dimensional analysis, okay? It's the same thing that they do in your science classes, it's just a different name for that same process. Basically, this process is the process of changing from one unit of measure into a different unit of measure, okay? So that's what unit conversions are. For example, we might want to convert feet into miles, or we might want to convert days into seconds, or sometimes we want to convert from one system of measurement to a different system of measurement. For example, the metric system and the English system both measure similar things like distance and mass and time, but they have different units of measurement. For example, you might change kilograms into tons. Okay, those are from different systems of measurement. So one of the most important tools that we use in unit conversions or dimensional analysis is these little things called conversion factors. Conversion factors are really just fractions that happen to equal 1, and the fractions are made up of different units on the top and the bottom. So they have different units on the denominator than they do on the numerator of the fraction. Okay? Now this is very important, that first point there, that the fractions equal 1. I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. So let's take a look at a couple of examples of common conversion factors. For example, 1 foot over 12 inches. Now you know that 1 foot and 12 inches are the same distance. They measure the same distance. So actually that fraction has the same quantity on the top as it does on the bottom. Therefore that fraction equals 1. It's a very important idea, that fraction equals 1. However, it's got different units on the top than it does on the bottom. Okay? Here's another example. 32 ounces and 1 quart. Those two things measure the same quantity. So that fraction equals 1, but different units on the top and the bottom. Here's another one. 1 hour over 3,600 seconds. I don't know if you knew how many seconds there were in an hour, but it's 3,600. Let's see, here's another one. 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. So there's an example of metric system to English system of measurement. A common conversion factor for doing that, centimeters into inches. Okay, so one other point here is that it doesn't really matter where the 1 is. The 1 can be on the top or the bottom. It just depends on how you need to set up the fraction. Okay, so here we go. Let's try a couple of examples here. So our first example, we're going to convert 12 inches into centimeters. All right, so 1 foot or 12 inches into centimeters. So the first thing to do when you're going to do this is write down your very first quantity that you are changing. So that's what we're starting with, is 12 inches. And I find it very convenient to write it as a fraction, just 12 inches over 1. Notice that there are no units on the bottom of the fraction. This is not a conversion factor. This is just our starting quantity. Okay? So we haven't got a conversion factor yet, but we're going to right now. Notice we are trying to get rid of inches and write them, express this 12 inches as centimeters. So I'm going to write the fraction like this, 2.5 centimeters over 1 inch. Okay, so since I am going to be multiplying these two fractions together, what happens when I do that is that you know that if you have the same thing on the top of a fraction as you do on the bottom, you can cancel that out or simplify the fraction by basically just removing it. And so what we've got is inches on the top and inches on the bottom, so I'm just going to cancel those out. No more inches. And the only unit of measurement that I have left is centimeters. So this is great. This is exactly what I was trying to do. 12 inches into centimeters. No more inches, just centimeters remain. So when I finish that off, all I have to do, since I'm multiplying those two things together, is multiply the 12 times 2.54 centimeters, and then I have my answer, 30.48 centimeters. And I just got that by multiplying 12 times 2.54. So there you go. 12 inches equals pretty darn close to 30.48 centimeters. Let's try another one. Let's try converting 1,400 hours into days. Okay? So you probably already know something about converting hours into days. But let's start off with our first quantity, which is 1,400 hours over 1. That's our beginning point. Now we're going to write a conversion factor that allows us to eliminate the hours. So stop and think for a second. Should the hours be on the top of the fraction or on the bottom of the fraction if we want to cancel them out? That's right. You want to put the hours on the bottom, and that's 24 hours on the bottom and 1 day on top. Okay? So you can see when I cancel the hours over hours, those go away, and I basically have 1,400 days divided by 24. So I have to get my calculator out again and work that out, and it tells me that 1,400 hours divided by 24, 1,400 days divided by 24 is 58.3 repeating days. And that's it. That's just a couple of simple examples on using conversion factors. Hope that was sort of helpful, and I'll make other videos helping us to do more complicated unit conversions, things like rates. We'll be able to change things like feet per second into miles per hour, or kilograms per square inch into pounds per square foot, things like that. Okay, be well. Thanks for tuning in.